The island of Sodor has many beautiful locations, from fields of green to white sandy beaches with nice cozy villages. Even though the Indians enjoy working along the picturesque landscape, there is one place, however, the steam engines have to avoid. The ironworks, like the Sodor China Clay Company, had its own pair of twins. The twins in question were a pair of menacing diesel shunters known as Iron Arry and Iron Bert. The brothers enjoyed taking pleasure in their work. If an engine was to collect scrap from the smelters, Arry and Bert never missed a chance of taunting the engines with threats of scrap.
Don't even think about getting near the cutter's torch, sneered Arry. They might just cut you up on sight,
cackled Bert. Even though the engines knew that the Fat Controller would never send them off for scrap, the twins' teasing, never the least, chilled them to the boiler. One cold October evening, Arry and Bert were idling outside the smelter's shed. The two diesels had just finished up their last jobs for the day and were getting ready to retire to their sheds for a well-deserved rest. A low mist had descended over the yards, and the sound of the smelting machines danced in the crisp, damp air.
Another day behind us, eh?
Grumbled Arry.
Couldn't be better,
agreed Bert. Their conversation was interrupted by a familiar horn. Through the fog came Mavis. Behind her were a line of trucks groaning as the little quarry diesel pulled up on the opposite side of the twins.
Hello, greeted Arry. What can we do for you?
Evening, boys, smiled Mavis. Special delivery for you two. We were clearing out an old goods yard near Vickerstown. They found several old tools and equipment that isn't in good use anymore.
In that?
Asked Bert, his eyes fixated on the flatbed behind the first truck. Through the mist, the twins could make out the shape of a rusted steam engine. Despite the thick fog, they could see its corroding controls and open firebox doors.
Well, said Arry with a smirk. This is my kind of surprise.
They found this inside the old shed. Its crew must have forgotten about it when a fire started many years ago, sighed Mavis. Nobody wants to be left behind, do they?
Oh, don't you worry, chuckled Arry. We'll take good care of it anyway. I'll lead you to the fuel pump, and Bert will move that poor fellow to the shed.
Bert did not like being bossed around by his brother, but he applied as Arry and Mavis rolled away. He grumbled as he dragged the heavy flatbed into the glow of the smelter shed.
Stupid Arry,
he growled.
He could have brought this rubbish in here.
As he rolled along, the old steam engine creaked and groaned. It almost sounded like laughter. Bert pulled it under the place of the grabber and was uncoupled, and then he rolled alongside the flatbed.
Who's got the last laugh now? Uses old kettle. Is that what you think of me?
Bert stopped dead in his tracks. For the very first time, he saw the front of the old engine. Its eyes were weary and lifeless, as if it hadn't slept for years. Bert had never seen an old engine with a face in all his years working at the ironworks. The engine then spoke again.
I'm far from useless.
Bert scoffed.
Another Stevie in denial. You're past it. Diesel's on the way forward. There's no need for you now. What happens when you become outdated?
Bert snorted.
Never gonna happen. You remind me of myself many years ago. I was brought to this railway due to the expensive line with several other engines. There are two smaller engines that arrived long before me and my friends. We all laughed at them when we arrived.
Not in your prime anymore, eh, old iron? You wouldn't have work if it hadn't been for me. This light was built on my and Thomas's steam.
And now you have no more left to give. Stand aside and let the proper engines take charge.
The engine sighed sadly.
Now look at me. I thought I was invincible until one fateful night when a fire broke out in the shed. I was in, and my crew didn't hear my cries for help. I got a taste of my own medicine when they brought a new, modern engine to replace me.
The engine coughed before giving Bert a cold stare.
You are modern, but for how long? What will happen to you and your twin when a much more modern engine comes and take your job? That will never happen.
Was all poor Bert managed to sputter out. The old engine sniffed.
Deny it all you want, modern engine, but I stand before you as the proof of the future. Time will go on, and you will be replaced.
Bert was silent.
Perhaps it's not too late to show kindness towards engines at their end. We've done our fair share of work. All we want is to go in peace without any of your mockery, threats, and sneering. Now, if you mind, I like to revel in the peace that I deserve.
Bert said nothing. In truth, he was deeply affected by the engine's words, but he didn't want to show it. He continued to sneer as he rolled out of the smelter shed. Outside the shed, Arry was waiting for his twin. Mavis had gone home and the fog was beginning to lift. "Where have you been?" Arry growled as Bert backed down next to him. "And who are you talking to in there?" "Stupid old steamer," barked Bert. "Trying to tell me we'll be out of date one day?" Arry stared blankly at his twin before asking, "How did you talk with it? What are you talking about? It has a face." Bert cut on his response short and looked back. As the doors of the smelter shed began to close, he saw no face on the engine, only the rusted inside of the smokebox door. Bert was left in disbelief as the shed door shut with an unsettling thud. "All that exhaust has got here," Arry cackled. "Oh, shut up," snapped Bert, and he rolled off to their shed without another word. Bert has become a different engine since then. While still menacing, he no longer taunts the steam engines of threats of scrap. He is silent whenever he goes into the smelter shed, for he is thinking of the spectral old engine. Every shadow and every noise is enough to remind him of that night. I think the words of 87546 will follow Bert for a long time. Don't you?